Hi, villains, and welcome to what for us here, as most of you will know, is well, number one, it's breaking news podcast, but for us was one that is a very I suppose somber podcast in a way for a great man that has just left Aston Villa Football Club. And the news has just broken that Dean Smith and Aston Villa Football Club have parted ways. And before we get into our takes on it, because they kind of pale in significance at the moment, this is really just being being all kind of unshrouded, I think, at the moment. Let's take a little look at the statement, Paddy, and I know we will come back and we will speak about this, but I think it's important as everything is breaking at the moment. I'm sure that we're going to have tons and tons of information that will be creeping out as we know now. But Aston Villa Football Club can confirm that the club have parted ways with head coach Dean Smith. Dean was appointed Villa head coach just over 3 years ago in October 2018 and led the club back to the Premier League via the playoffs in his first season in charge, following a club record 10-match winning sequence toward the end of that campaign. The following season, he kept Villa in the top flight while also leading the team out in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, narrowly losing 2-0 to Manchester City. CEO Christian Purslow said, "When Dean joined us in October 2018, our team was really struggling in the Championship. He immediately transformed the atmosphere and performances and achieved the ultimate success of leading Villa back to the Premier League within the same season, a rare feat. He then secured our place in the Premier League after a tough campaign and took us to the Cup final at Wembley. However, after a good start to last season, this year we have not seen the continuous improvement in results, performances, and league positions which we have all been looking for." Sorry for my remedial grade reading here. For this reason, we have decided to make a change now to allow time for a new head coach to make an impact. The board would like to sincerely thank Dean for his many excellent achievements on and off the pitch during this time. Everybody knows how much Aston Villa means to Dean and his family. He has represented the club with distinction and dignity, universally liked and respected by everybody associated with Aston Villa, our staff, players and supporters alike. We wish him the very best. The process of replacing Dean will now begin, and the club will update supporters in due course. Paddy, talk to me.
As you know, I'm not usually stuck for words. I'm a little bit stuck for words today. I kind of felt there would be a announcement today, but I figured it might have been an announcement of backing the manager. I thought he might have got another 2 games to come and save his job. It didn't work out that way, and we now know that he's moved on. I'm a little bit shocked. I thought when we didn't hear anything yesterday, I thought they'd have a measured approach and might give him another couple of games. But look, they've obviously met today, made their decision, and my overriding emotion is a little bit of disappointment now. But I know there's a lot of people going to say, yeah, he deserved it. And in hindsight, when we look back at the end of this season, we might agree with them. But the one thing I will say is that Dean Smith is an extraordinarily good guy. And
really
when our club, as the famous line now says, the fallen giant is back on its feet, he put us back on our feet. So I think there's a lot to be thankful for there as well.
Yeah. And look, for anybody that maybe is coming here for a podcast that thinks that potentially we're not going to eulogize Dean Smith over what positives he has done, we are going to do that because we're consistent in our takes, and we're, obviously he's been sacked now. He is by far and away one of the most decent guys, one of the top decent people that, like, I've never met the man face to face, but there's you can just get it from him. I'm not going to go into too much detail about Dean Smith and anything like that, but just trust that you can trust everybody when they say that he is a really, really good guy, and it's not a podcast for that, but he's a really, really good guy. and I'm going to say I was a small bit sad in recent days when there was like a lot of narratives being mentioned around and on Twitter and Facebook, and I know a lot of these were basically just they were fabricated things, but they were things that you could say based on whatever side of the coin you came down, that he would fall out with a lot of players, that he fell out with 6 or 7 players over his tenure with the club, and that just isn't true. It just isn't true, and I think time now is a good time to say this, that he never fell out with players. He thought some players weren't up to the task, and that's absolutely fine. But that's his job as a manager. That was a strong point of management for him, and I had to get that one off my chest. And it's okay if you guys don't believe us when we say this, but that is absolutely the measure of the guy. He was real affable. Christian Perslow says it there, that he was universally liked, and that's not lying about the guy. And I'm delighted to have had him associated with my club for the last 3 years. Personally, myself, I feel that since the 94, 96, 98 seasons, even under Martin O'Neill, I didn't have as much. How am I going to put this? I didn't have as much faith in. I didn't have as much, not even connection, but I don't even know what word I'm trying to use here. I didn't have. I really over the last 3 years, Aston Villa became a massive identity in my life. Not that it wasn't before, but it became even more. And it's because I liked Dean Smith. I really liked him as a person. I thought the club, and the club has gone in massive strides and gone forward under him. Whether you agree with what's happening this year or not, and that's something to be proud of. And it's really kind of put us back on the map again. And as Christian Perslow said, and as you just said there, the fallen joint is now reawoken. And look, whatever you want to say about Dean Smith in the last 5 games, he's the man who got us back to the Premier League and put us back on the map again. So,
and there's always going to be people. There's always going to be people that are very happy today, and that's completely fine too.
That's okay.
It's fine. We're all entitled to our opinion, and my opinion is, and I'm going to say I was lucky enough because I spent a couple of minutes in his company outside Villa Park. Oh God, I think we were still in the Championship, and there was just myself and Stephen there, nobody else. And he said he heard the voice, and he said, "Where in Ireland are you from?" And stood and listened that we were from Limerick, and he spoke to Stephen for a few minutes and proceeded to tell us about his wife's family being from Wexford and travels to Ireland quite a lot. And he needn't have bothered his arse, but he stood there and spoke to us and had a good chat. We sent him our Irish Lions jersey last year, which he signed and sent it back.
That was fantastic.
That we dedicated to his father by donating the proceeds to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland. So for me, it's you mentioned talking there about him as a manager, and the one thing I will give him, there's a lot of characters there, and characters that I've mentioned that I've absolutely would have bombed out a long time ago. But he's worked hard on trying to develop players and characters. Mm-hmm. We even had one of them the other night. I'm not going to mention any names. Played a game the other night, and I would have had him long gone out of this team. So he's obviously a very good manager and gets the respect of the players. I'd imagine we're going to see an awful lot from the players today on social media. And
well, interesting you say that, Paddy. And I know maybe people don't want to hear what Jack Grealish has to say, but Jack Grealish has posted, "No one will ever compare. He's the real GOAT. Heart. Now, whether you agree with the word GOAT, like Jack Grealish and Dean Smith had the utmost respect for each other, and I think that's fair enough to say that. For somebody who wasn't used to dealing with superstars, by all available evidence, and I mean all available evidence, people can have their own thoughts and own opinions on it, but all available evidence, he dealt with Jack Grealish, and they both left on amicable terms. And he was able to deal with the guy that came up through the ranks and the Ollie Watkinses, and he was always able to deal with the guys who maybe were destined for bigger things than the Jack Grealishes. And I suppose over time will tell whether he was able to whether he would have been able to deal with the Leon Baileys or the or those guys as well. So interesting.
The irony of what you just read out there. I firmly believe that if Jack didn't go, we wouldn't be in this conversation now at this stage.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day.
John Percy has just tweeted as well, said that Dean Smith took charge of Villa from when the club were 14th in the Championship, promotion, the League Cup final, Premier League stability is excellent, represents an excellent, perhaps underrated job, despite the obvious financial backing, will be no shortage of interest. I'd just be interested because, look, we've all sat here and said, Percy said it, somebody's signing and this is going to be fantastic. Percy will know, I would imagine, how highly Dean Smith is seen. And it'll be interesting. I don't think he'll stay out of management very long. And we had a question actually on the team sheet tantrum, I think, before. It was the preview show before the Southampton game, and someone asked, would Dean Smith get another Premier League job? And I think it was kind of an arbitrary question. And the way I answered it was, he may not get another Premier League job, but I could see it, a top team in the Championship sack their manager to bring in Dean Smith, and he would get promoted next year. Maybe he ends up at Norwich. Who knows?
Possibly.
I don't think he does. I don't think he ends up in Norwich. That was a flippant throwaway comment, but it's not for us. I don't want to speculate where he ends up. I think time and we're going to we want to eulogize Smith, but we also are going to very much over the next, and like we're in the international window, we'll probably be back again tomorrow, the day after. We're going to cover this very, very, very closely. Because I would imagine the club aren't going to dilly-dally on this one because time's of the essence. And I'm going to be really honest, guys. I'm going to be I'm going to have my eye very much on this. And if they don't get a good guy, I'm not going to be particularly happy.
No, and I don't want a knee-jerk reaction here. I don't want Lampard, Terry, Gerrard, all these ridiculous names that have been mentioned. That I want a proven manager, if not with Premier League experience, with continental experience, that plays decent football and will have the personality to come and spend the money that our owners no doubt want to spend to make our club a success. I'm genuinely disappointed that that's not Dean Smith.
So am I.
I really thought for a long time we were going in the right direction. I really hoped that this run of games was a blip and he was going to be given a bit of time. But look, the figures don't lie. 5 in a row. I said it so many times over the last couple of weeks that I've felt if it went to 5 in a row, the red button would be pressed. It is pressed. The time will come where we move on. But I think that it's not time for a knee-jerk reaction. I don't want to see a Nigel Pearson. I don't want to see any of the
before we speculate and again and maybe go in and start talking about very, very early prediction. I don't want this podcast to be overtaken by that, but let's just read some of the comments there, because there will be pieces in that. And I think that a lot of people have come in here and they've shared some of their own opinions on Dean Smith. Now I want to kind of try to keep this as Dean Smith centric as I can. For the last 5 minutes, we might out some wild suggestions again, like we have been doing before. But Del Boy says, please not Nigel Pearson. Oh Jesus, absolutely not. I don't think there'd be a podcast if Nigel Pearson is here. I don't think I could do myself any favors to speak about if we
no disrespect either, because I think we're just Nigel Pearson did a fantastic job where he has been, but I think we need a bigger personality with a more of a footballing clout and a background in bringing through both underage talent and unearthing talent from overseas. Maybe I think that might be
Absolutely. Alex says, very sad, not going to lie. I might be wrong, says very disappointed. 5 rough games. Sorry, I'm doing this on a really small screen here. 5 rough games overruled, 3 years of incredible work. Ridiculous. Well, I think it's more so the 18 games lost in 2021 as well. And look, we have to be fair about that too. Mike Warmbo doesn't know how he's. I really don't know how to feel. I don't want to. I want to give myself time to appreciate Dean Smith, because he deserves that. He absolutely deserves that. Patch BC says, my favorite ever Villa manager will always remember that playoff run with him and Jack leading the way. And wasn't that just such a kind of like a family run event, that whole playoff run? And you can call it small time, tin pot, but I talked about that it gave me a sort of sense of identity. Jack Grealish not changing his boots, Dean Smith going to visit his father to talk to him, even though his father couldn't understand what he was saying, to tell him about our boyhood team, the team that his father stood on the whole end with, was a steward with, that brought Dean to, that immersed his whole entire life in. And it was just such a magical story. Do you know what? And to be honest with you, the media didn't make enough of that, to be honest with you. They really, really didn't. And I think at the time, everybody was so focused on getting promoted that it kind of masked the romance of football. And when I talk about identity, that's something we're falling in love with. And you can call me, romantic and sappy, sad or whatever. And say you can tell me I'm all gooey-eyed just because I've just had a new child and my hormones are all over the place. But it's real. That was 3 years ago, and that was real. That was real. It was real for me anyway. I don't care. There's probably some other harder, stone-faced hearts outside there that didn't get that. But for me, I certainly did. And that's a proud moment for me of that the way that we showed that we can rise from the ashes, because it wasn't just with any manager, it was with one of our own. And that's really important as well. Ben joined the Villa family in 2014. Dino is the only true progressive manager I've seen at Villa. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely within that time. I agree. I felt it was his time, but it hurts. Got me through mental struggles last autumn with those games. And, I talked about identity and stuff like that, thankfully, and for myself, I wasn't in anything like that. I just really fell back in love with not back in love, but I was proud of puffing my chest out and talking about Aston Villa again. But for you, football teams do things to people in different ways, and that's amazing that you're able to say that, Ben, as well. And it's times like these that we kind of reflect and think about stuff like that as well. Mel Farrell says, sad times, but also the right decision. He leaves with my very best wishes. And Paddy, I think it's fair to say that it isn't just window dressing from Purslow there. I really believe he leaves with best wishes from literally everybody.
Oh, I'd say so. Obviously, and I've said it already, there's people going to be celebrating today, and I'm completely fine with that. But for me, it's going back to that season where he got us up. That was an incredible roller coaster.
Yeah,
those 10 games, Jack getting punched at St Andrews and then going on to score. It was just an amazing time to be a Villa fan, and it just felt like the guy who would sit beside you in whatever stand you choose to sit in Villa Park was suddenly managing the team. It was fairy tale stuff.
Yeah.
But not only managing the team well, managing the club well, everything was just run properly. I'm firm, I know he said recently that he doesn't lose any sleep. I bet he did, because I'd say the last 5 weeks were hurting him. I really say they were.
Yeah. PSK says, I'm sorry, Paddy, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm going to roll through some of the comments here because a lot of them are very similar. But, goodbye, Dino. God bless and thank you for all the memories. Mike says they don't even have a guess who they're planning to sign. We've not heard anything. I don't have any guess. I have my own favorites, because it would be stupid of me not to look forward, not to look past maybe this. Because we do a podcast and you want to be at least some way prepared for the inevitable, even if it's not something that you want. But I do have my own favorites. And to be honest with you, you guys aren't going to like some of mine, as we said before. But just trying to, as I say, see who's out there. And we're not getting Zidane. I think is pretty. I don't think anybody's getting Zidane, to be honest.
Don't want Zidane either.
Well, I don't know about that. I
don't think this is a time for celebrities anyway.
Either do I. I think it's time for managers. Mixed emotions, but glad at the same time. Sorry, that was from Voice of the Villains. This is from SI41NTE. Was a serious great guy and a great manager. Chris, incredibly upsetting, but something had to change. Players have let him down this season. I think Matty Cash's interview yesterday, Matty Cash knew the writing was on the wall. I think
I think that last sentence in that there is just hit the nail on the head. The players have let him down this season. There's a few players out there that have been found wanting and need to have a long, hard look at themselves. And you know what? They'll be found out very quickly by the next manager. So,
whoa,
go on.
John Percy has it out. Aston Villa considering Steve Gerrard and Ralph Hasenhüttl as next manager. I'm not going to be happy with Steven Gerrard. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be happy
with Ralph Hasenhüttl either. No.
Anyway, now is not the time for knee-jerk reaction, as we said. I would need to look into Steve Gerrard more, but I would find that exceedingly underwhelming as a signing. But that's not for here now.
What's to look into? The guy's at one management position.
to process it. Just to process it, see what his management style, not his management style, but his coaching style, how he sets up his team. Because I think it's going to be really important to get somebody who can set up the team with the players that we have. And look, I truly believe the 4-2-3-1 is the way forward, and we need somebody who's got a good brand of that. Anyway, I to be honest with you, that's and I just spoke about John Percy. That kind of smacks to me is getting out there early with your take, but it could be 100% right. Thomas says, very sad day. Not often fans have a respect on a personal level for a manager. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We don't often get to have one of our own there either.
That's exactly it. And Pete Tansey says, must think long-term, don't want a quick fix. Kieran, good stuff. He says, it makes me sad the amount of disrespect for Dean Smith in social media. The man played carrot and blue, but it was inevitable he would go. And that's fair too. And that's kind of a feeling I hold as well. Carol says, this will come back and bite us in the arse, I think. It just really depends on who we get in next. I'm upset that Dean Smith is gone. I'm anxious to see who we get in, and I'm anxious on the side of worry more so than excitement, because I really need to see who we're getting in. But I suppose I think that's really where a lot of fans are at the moment as well. Luke Harrison is just gutted. Mel has said, very sad day, but understandable decision. Villa's form has been poor. We have had great memories thanks to Dean, and he leaves with best wishes. Absolutely. Sorry there, guys. There's a lot of comments here. Tommy Roach says root cause was Grealish was replaced on an Excel sheet, not on a football field. I disagree, but I'm not going to get into it at the moment. I don't think that you can replace Grealish 1-for-1, and I think they made the right decision. But it's, look, as I say, I don't agree with the Excel sheet piece, because if you know who Leon Bailey was prior to coming to Aston Villa, the Excel sheet piece doesn't really make sense to me, considering what known players and known quantities as well. But look, as I say, not having a crack at you, Tommy, absolutely not. It's a completely valid opinion to have. So sorry, guys. I'm actually finding it tough to keep up. The comments are just moving up and down so fast here. I really appreciate. So if I don't read out some of your comments, it's just I genuinely can't see them here. Sean Garrity says, really hope we get Paulo Fonseca. Once again, I've looked at him. I need to look at him more. But if we get somebody in from the continent, guys, we might go back to 3 at the back. And I just don't know how we're going to be able to take that. So this is why I'm being very coy on some of the managers that are being mentioned.
Regardless of who we get in, we might not go 3 at the back until he buys somebody in January, maybe.
Yeah. We've a big fat Sam sighting. Once again, we have a big fat Sam sighting. I know I might be wrong. You're probably only pulling strings there, but it's interesting. You will always. I don't think there's ever a managerial conversation in any club that Big Sam doesn't come up in. But and I know you're probably only pulling a leg in that one. But there's one here. Neil Pro 21 says, let's hope whoever we get will build on the foundations that Smith built farther than smashing them up. We're so close to being what we need to be. I think we're closer than a lot of people believe. I do, but it's that razor's edge piece that you tip over. I think Liverpool were very close under managers like Roy Hodgson, and and a lot of Liverpool fans would look at me and go, that was mad because they had Hicks and Gillette. But I think that was the knife edge that they needed to cross over. They needed to go from having a collection of players to everything falling into place. And obviously, when they got Brendan Rodgers in, things started falling into place, and they got to that level. And then Paddy, I know that you were reading a great article in The Athletic this morning about, what the top teams are able to do, but they needed to get to that area first. Actually, do you want to talk about that article in The Athletic this morning, Paddy? Because I thought it was really fascinating. You don't really? Okay.
I've actually forgotten what was in it at this stage.
I'll talk about it. So it was basically just going down. It was going down about how the likes of Man City weren't exactly in a perilous position when they changed from Manuel Pellegrini. They just identified a manager that was better. He became available. They changed. Brendan Rodgers wasn't exactly doing a bad job. Liverpool identified a manager that was better, and they changed. I can't remember who the other team was that was there as well. Chelsea, Frank Lampard, they were willing to give him time, but Tuchel came available. Yes, he wasn't doing a great job. Tuchel came available, and they just changed. And the Southampton did it. They had Nuno Espirito Santo. A new manager came available. They just changed. And what it was the prerogative of the teams that were perennially challenging, or the teams that had good PR, good systems whereby people expected them to be perennial challengers and to be up at the top of the league, that what they could do is they could change managers because they had structures built underneath the surface. They had directors of football. They had good systems built there. They had a whole financial system built around the club. So the structure supported the club, and the manager was implementing a plan based on lots of different branches of the club itself. So it wasn't all just the traditional Alex Ferguson style model. And that's what allows these clubs, very continental, yes, I will say. Aston Villa are gone down that route with the Johan Lange and with the Mark Harrisons of this world and the scouting setups that we have. So everything is all a separate entity, so that if a team manager does leave, you bring in another team manager that can work within that structure and work. Some people aren't going to like that. Some people like Paddy, no. I know Paddy doesn't like the director of football model itself, but what it does is, from a financial point of view and from a business point of view and a club point of view, it does build the club into a more sustainable entity. And if all the big boys are doing it, it's you do kind of have to follow suit. That's a small bit of a bit of a very big synopsis of what that article was.
Yeah, and I think the overriding reason why I sent it to you was that I would like to think that big red button was pressed today with a plan in place.
That's
to have
it.
Somebody
that's what I'm saying.
Better in there. And that's, you know what, I must have read from pillar to post this morning all the pros and cons in different media outlets, because I woke up this morning and my first text on my phone was from you going, the media today is a bit meh. So
yeah, and it was because I thought that it was because I read the Sun. I read an article in the Sun going, Knudsen, was it Knudsen, the guy from the Danish manager, and I went, Johan Lange is Danish manager, 2 and 2 makes 5. Yeah, I can see why the Sun would print that. He hasn't had a great record outside of Denmark either, so I think there's going to be a skeptical eye in a lot of these managers that we're going to be linked to it. And look, guys, I can envisage, and even if Paddy isn't available, I have a ton of time on my hands at the moment. At some stages during the day, I have a ton of time on my hands. I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about each of these managers over the next few days until we get white smoke on who's going to be the new manager. But for today, as I say, I think the club has made a brave decision. It could turn out to be a stupid decision, but it's been a brave decision in getting rid of Dean Smith. Regardless of the statistics and the results, we're taking a step into the unknown here. And that's irrefutable. It's irrefutable. Some comments there, Paddy. And sorry, guys, I know I'm very I'm speaking very quickly. I'm brushing over a lot of things very quickly, and I'm probably not allowing Paddy finish some of his points. It's just, I think both of us need to be somewhere in about 5 minutes. So that's why I'm doing it. Holtender 2012 says, very disappointed, lads. I think he should have had the international break to reassess where he needs to improve and make the changes required. I think he's been hard done by. And that's I don't know what and we've been the biggest Smithian cheerleaders. I don't know what a hard done by is. At the end of the day, it's a results business, but I would like to have seen him give him more time. You can understand both sides of the coin, I think.
Looking at the other side of the coin as well, we didn't exactly pull up trees when we came back up into the Premier League, and COVID probably saved us and allowed us the opportunity to go more. And even when we came back, there was a number of results which were pretty poor. So it's not just these 5 games, but has he been hard done by? There's a load of ways of looking at this. These 2 weeks give an opportunity for change. It gives an opportunity, if they have somebody to come in and hit the ground running with the players who are left behind from international duty. It also gives 2 potentially winning games before we go on a difficult run in December. So is that the motivation? That's what I'm thinking, to get somebody in before then. What I don't want to happen is a stopgap. I don't want them to say, we're bringing such and such in for now, because obviously there's going to be possibly a caretaker. Who knows? Maybe it's Craig Shakespeare. We'll find out soon enough. But the fact that they haven't said in their announcement that there was a caretaker leads me to believe that everybody is gone. I believe everybody's gone anyway. I think the whole coaching ticket will walk now. I think Johan Lange will be gone. I think Austin McPhee will be gone. I think Craig Shakespeare will be gone. Aaron Danks will be gone. I think there's the only one you've got left out of all this is probably Mark Delaney and Mark Harrison. I think that they'll be, and to be fair,
No, I think all the scouting system stays. I think Johan Lange stays, and I know I agreed with you this morning when you said if Dean goes, he goes. I've had a change of heart. I think he stays
but
based on
I think Johan Lange's staying is completely down to whoever they bring in and the process they want to bring. So if they're bringing in a big name who already has a complete coaching ticket behind them and a complete scouting system behind them, then there's no place for Johan Lange either.
Yeah. I mentioned as well. I'm an Aston Villa fan. I reserve every single right in the world to be fickle. I made a knee-jerk reaction about Steven Gerrard. It's my opinion at the moment. I'm going to look into it a small bit more and look, things might be different. It's just people are mentioning him quite a lot here on Twitter at the moment, and it looks like that they want to have an appointment made by no later than the end of next week. So this is going to be a quick turnaround. And look, at the end of the day, we're all Villa fans, as I've said before, and we all want Aston Villa to win. So whoever the manager is going to come in, we might have our criticisms and skepticism, but we'll back him to the absolute bollocks when he comes in. So, so that's
we might or we mightn't. I don't think an appointment like that is something I could get behind. He's what I call a yellow pack manager. I don't see what he's done. I don't see what Lampard, Terry, all of them, they're yellow pack managers. They're only just starting off in their career. That's not what we need right now. We need experience.
Yeah.
We need a process from the start. It can't be a stopgap. We can't bring Steven Gerrard in just to try him out for a few months and then bring him off at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. That's not how this is.
That's true.
We need to be done right.
Yeah. But at the same time, what I meant by what I was saying is I'm willing to absolutely eat my own words. So if we are skeptical of a manager, is what I'm saying. What I meant to say, and it didn't come across that way, is if after 10 games we've won 10 games and we're absolutely looking like world beaters, oh, absolutely. There's no point having a mind if you won't change it. So that's important. Dara makes a great point here. Whether the decision was right or wrong, the timing was good. Hopefully an international manager with top league experiences lined up. Otherwise, you question it. And I'm taking that directly from the horse's mouth as that Ballingarry AFC don't need to release an announcement at the moment. Their manager is staying. He's not interested in the Aston Villa job. He's ruled himself out. He's looking for a manager with international experience, although he does have top league experience. So Ballingarry AFC's manager will not be taking over at Aston Villa Football Club. You heard it here first. I know we said we don't like to break news, but we just did today. Guys, look, I don't think there's much more we can talk about at the moment. I really wanted to come on and eulogize Aston Villa, or eulogize Dean Smith, because I think he deserves it. He's not like I won't be saying bad words about him. I won't be looking back in hindsight and making judgments on things he did, because I genuinely believe for the 3 seasons he had, and you can look back at our podcasts that we've done before, our 3-year anniversary of Dean Smith, that he has had his hand tied. He's had one hand tied behind his back for one reason or another in all of the seasons that he's been here. And you can say that he could only set up with Jack Grealish if you want, but if he didn't set up with just Jack Grealish, get the ball to Jack Grealish, it would have been foolish, considering the fact that Jack Grealish was just that much better than everybody else on the team. So it was like Frank Rijkaard just set up with, maybe not Frank Rijkaard, but some managers in the past have just set up with get the ball to their best player and been very profitable with it. Look, maybe that's what happened, maybe it isn't, but I commend Dean Smith for absolutely everything he did. He leaves with my full blessing, and I hope someday I get to sit down and talk with him, just because I think he's a sound bloke, and he's one of us.
He's absolutely a sound bloke, and if you can't tell that from even what he says and his love for the club, that comes through every time you hear him speak. I think we've lost a good one today. I think my dry November is finished, and I'm going to go for a nice, cool, crisp pint in a dark pub all on my own, and just have a few early ones and chill the fuck out, because it's the start of a new chapter, but it was a chapter well written. It's a chapter that I remember with great fondness. As I said so many times, how this sliding door could have been so much different if we'd have won that game against Fulham in the playoff final and Tony Jaa was still the owner of our club. Instead, we got good owners, we got a good manager, we got a good coaching ticket that got us into the Premier League, stabilised us, kept us up, and then had a good season last year. We've been hit or miss this season. We've had a poor run, but we didn't get bad overnight. We've just lost our way a little bit.
That's correct. Yeah,
players are a lot to blame in this. There's a few of them now that need to either ship up or ship out for me. But for now, thank you, Dean. I've nothing but thanks and praise for him at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely, me too. So now we shift our focus, we shift our crosshairs to the board and to the upper management within the club. We need a rabbit out of a hat, I think. And I think this club can produce it. We've got big style businessmen. We've got men who know how to. We've got a man who knows how to run a franchise, albeit not in English sports. And we've got this shows that the board are ruthless. Can they go put their money where their mouth is and get somebody? Can we poach somebody from another club? Can we slap it down on the table and say you need to come to us? And that's a wad of cash I'm talking about, and say you need to come to us. Forget about that club that you're with.
Yeah, and slap the other thing down on the table too, and show them how big our club is. You know what I mean? That's my overriding emotion. We should be going and poaching a world-class manager to do a world-class job, because we are a world-class club with a world-class facility there, world-class stadium, owners with oodles of money. There's so like, even if you look at the youth system, we have everything going in our favor for a world-class manager to come in here. So it's up to the right man to go and sell this club for what it is, because there's no way I could imagine a top-class manager turning this down.
All is to be written, Paddy. All is to be written.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for popping on. Thank you so much for popping on to help us. It's been cathartic. I think, we are downtrodden over this. There will be some people, as I said, that will be a lot happier about this than us. I feel we've lost a good guy today as manager of our club, but the club is still here, and we want nothing more than this Aston Villa Football Club to win. I wish Dean Smith all the best in the future. I think that he will get back into management at some stage, and I think that he will prove to be a successful manager whatever level that he gets into. And look, all the best to Dean Smith. And for now, Aston Villa turn the page. And as I say, the clock is ticking as to who we are going to appoint. As I said, guys, we will be back. I might be doing a lot of live shows, but I'm, if time permits, I'm going to try and put together some little YouTube pieces, and also I'm going to try and do some audio pieces. So if there's people here that don't listen to our podcast or aren't subscribed to our podcast, and this is me just trying to funnel things over there, it'll be easier for me in the short term to do audio ones as opposed to put together stuff here. But just talking about managers, as we're linked with managers, there might be quite a lot of podcasts coming out over the next week. Obviously, Paddy will be here. Paddy has a day job, 9 to 5. I'm still off for the next week, so I do have some time on my hands. So I will be able to put things together. If you aren't subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker, whatever you use for your podcast streaming service, really appreciate it, because as I said, we're going to put a lot of effort in here to covering this managerial search, and may not be able to get onto YouTube all the time. So if we can't, the audio podcast will still be there. So I would try maybe, and as I say, not going to permanently funnel you guys towards the audio podcast, but there will be probably more action on that over the course of the next week, just because it will be easier for me to produce at short notice. But thanks very much, everybody, for checking in. Hope all of you have a great weekend. I suppose there is trepidation and there is a small bit of kind of looking forward to the future here, but also it's important to look back and realize what a good guy that has left the club today. Onwards towards greatness for Aston Villa, and I think all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
I do have an outro though. I didn't have an intro, so I'm going to play the outro.